blogging. I was blogging before most people really had heard of that. There was no such thing as RSS. But it wasn't until about 2006 that I really started blogging for business. And I'm going to talk about some of the tactics I took for that and some of the surprises and wisdom that I've come up with on the way. The few things that I want to talk about in particular are the type of participation that I've taken online, because participation is the first thing before you necessarily want to create content, as well as the content that I've created and how it's helped me to really build a reputation for myself. Then I'll part with some words of wisdom. First off, how many of you use Google Alerts? By show of hands, Google Alerts. Anybody that is not using Google Alerts after today, I hope that will be one of the very first things you do. It's a tool that allows you to monitor what people are talking about with relation to particular topics or to your business. That's something that I've used to find out who's talking about me and about relevant topics online. I also use RSS, and for those of you who are not familiar with RSS, I would look it up on YouTube and you'll find plenty of instructional videos on it. It's a phenomenal way to really keep involved with the bloggers that are talking about things that are relevant to you. So using Google Alerts and RSS, I sort of figure out what type of conversation I'd like to participate in. Before anybody here tries blogging or putting too much content out there, you need to figure out what people are talking about. And that's what I always do on a regular basis, so I can respond to things in a timely fashion. I also have used Google Groups for a very long time. It's just an online discussion forum that's public to everybody. It's been going on since 1981. It's called Usenet, actually. Google Groups sort of aggregates that data. That's a great way for me to also figure out what's going on and to participate. And of course, we've heard peripherally people talk about Facebook and LinkedIn and maybe even MySpace and Plaxo and other groups. I use LinkedIn and Facebook, and I also sort of monitor the discussion there and participate when I feel like there's relevant conversation. And something, as you can sort of see, is what's going on up here today. Something that's really been part of my social media participation is meeting these people in person, whether it be going to conferences like South by Southwest or Future of Web Applications or those types of things, or even just on a local basis. In DC, there's a lot of people that meet on a regular basis, from people that talk on Twitter and blog. There's meetup.com, there's all these different events that people do. There's lots of things where people have an opportunity now to really participate offline when they've met online, or to switch up the order of things a little bit. Some of the particular outreach that I've done with regard to participation, if anybody's read the 4-Hour Workweek, I read it about a year ago, and I fell in love with it, and I put up a spreadsheet actually that related to the book. The author of the book then linked to that, and to this day I still get, I don't know, over 50 hits a day from that, and I've gotten many clients all over the world just because of participating and sort of reaching out to people. I mention that to you because on the internet it's a lot easier to reach out to people that are seemingly famous or unreachable in ways that, here you're not going to get an appointment with the most important person in the world, but via email you can reach out to these people, or you can talk about them on whatever platform you use to discuss things, and they'll make a note of it, and if they link to you, you get a lot of really great credit and credibility from it. The other great thing about participating, which we haven't talked a lot about because we've been talking about getting businesses, it really helps you to stay informed, which is invaluable for your clients, it's invaluable for your career growth. Knowing what's going on, not just online, but just in all facets of the internet and your career and things related to it, is incredibly valuable for me, so that I get opportunities to stand up here today as an expert. It's all because of staying involved and staying informed through these tools. Additionally, I found a lot of developers and designers. A lot of our work, we're releasing a web application, we develop add-ins in Office. I found one of my best developers for Office. There's not a lot of Word developers out there. She's out of Australia. I've been using her for 5 years. I've been on Google Groups. She's come to visit me twice, and people in this room have met her when she's been out here. She's phenomenal. I work with people in Iceland. I met him in Boston. There's just all these different people that I've reached out to that have, there's sort of two reasons to outsource. We usually like to think of it as people that are less expensive, but you find experts all over the world when you start getting involved in social media and reaching out to these places. So it's really helped me to build relationships with people that are sort of above and beyond, and have helped me to build our own reputation. The type of content that I provide is on Technotheory. As a matter of fact, if you like these slides, a few of the other people here are also going to be putting their slides up. On Technotheory, I will have all these slides for this. So if you go to technotheory.com as of 9:30 a.m., that will be posted. Greg also volunteered, and anybody else that would like to have their slides, those will also be online there. But Technotheory is sort of just my place for sounding off my ideas, mostly about productivity and technology. But the point here is that I write for my audience. I don't write about my company. If you're getting involved in blogging and you just want to sort of talk about what's going on, nobody's going to listen. So you need to figure out what are people talking about in your area, and then just write about that. I don't get a ton of traffic. I get maybe a few hundred people a day that are going to the site. But the more important thing is that it's a place where people can say, hey, this guy knows what he's talking about. So when people make it to my site, then they go to my other sites, and if they engage me, then so much the better. Also, by blogging, it just keeps people interested. When you have new content up there, people want to come back to it. If hundreds of people a day are seeing new articles, that's keeping people interested and people involved. It's a lot easier for me than print campaigns and things that cost a lot of money. I just put a little bit of time in here and there, and I get a lot of results. And these are qualified leads in the sense that they know what I'm talking about, so they know what my skills are. Reputation. Blogging, of course, is a big part of the reputation that I've garnered online. But I would encourage everybody here to use Facebook and LinkedIn just to start getting some connections on there, especially if you're younger, because for the next, it might not be Facebook and LinkedIn, of course, but having online profiles and having people that, having this presence online and building reputation is definitely a part of the hiring process today. It's a part of the interviewing process, a part of everything with regard to validation online. Also, respect-worthy design. What I mean by that is I've been getting a lot of traffic to my various sites through my online outreach, but recently we just redesigned our Sec Consulting website, my personal business's, or my business's website, and all of a sudden that same traffic we'd always been getting started turning into many more leads. I mention that to you because really think about the path at which people follow when they're on your website. Because obviously social media is important, but once they get to your site, what are their action points? Just put a little box in there that has a little email and just says submit here if you're interested. Don't ask for any other information. Tons of people click every day with just, oh, more information about OneNote training or something. And I don't have anything else about them, but I reach out to them and all of a sudden we have a discussion. So consider optimizing your site to get people interested. Blogging, of course, I mentioned. What's wonderful about this, too, is that nobody ever asks me for referrals or references because all the information is already up there. And, of course, the internet leads can't be bad. Some parting words of wisdom for you all. Again, before you get involved, do the research, use RSS, use Google Alerts. You need to know what's going on before you even pretend or make any attempts to participate. The first thing is definitely know what people are talking about, so when you participate, your points are new, your points are valid. Build your profiles, as I mentioned. Just start linking to people. After today, if you got a bunch of business cards, reach out to those folks on LinkedIn. If you think that's too light a connection, just sort of accept that fact because it's what people do. And it's really helpful. Get advice from the inside. Get a geek on your side who sort of understands about Flickr, about mashups, about all this stuff that might not make sense to you, but they'll help you to make sure you're doing things that aren't embarrassing for your company, things that are valuable. And connect your properties. If you have websites, blogs, Facebook pages, Flickr pages, whatever it is, bring them together so that all the traffic gets shared. A few other quick little things. Use Skype if you have a chance. Using video is a really good way to connect with people over distances. So if you have an opportunity, just get a free Skype account, get a little webcam. I find that really helpful to work with people all over the place. And take advantage of podcasts. And these are some other resources. You can also go to the Buzzbin and Chris Brogan. You can Google those. Other great advice.